projects that are large and have to be managed. So that is the third part of the business that we focus on by using ServiceNow. So slowly and steadily, we've been growing into trying to build more enterprise solution, long way in customer service, because now AI has been telling you to say, what, take a step back. This person is probably in a bad mood or whatever that decision, right? And it's preparing you to take that call in a better perspective.
You're watching The Mainstream. I'm Simran Shiwalkar, your host for today, and this is an exclusive dialogue brought to you by The Mainstream in collaboration with NGenious Solutions. We would be taking a deep dive into a critical topic, which is a boardroom priority for all CXOs across the tech ecosystem, building connected, intelligent enterprises in the AI era. I am super thrilled and super excited to lead this conversation with Mr. Nilesh Mehta, the founder and the CEO of NGenious Solutions. Firstly, Nilesh, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you once again for agreeing to do this with us.
Simran, thank you so much for having me over here. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Absolutely. Well, let me take a moment to share a few things about Nilesh. To begin with, he is the founder and CEO of NGenious Solutions, a global tech consulting firm specializing in delivering enterprise business solutions using Microsoft and ServiceNow. With over 25 years of experience in enterprise technology, cloud transformation, collaboration platforms, and customer engagement solutions, Nilesh has worked closely with organizations to help them build more connected, agile, and intelligent business operations. He's also a well-known industry speaker and a long-standing contributor to the enterprise tech ecosystem. Well, I'm more than excited to lead this conversation, take a deep dive into his journey, understand his vision. So without any further ado, let's begin. Firstly, Nilesh, thank you so much once again. And like I said, more than 2 decades of experience leading this space in technology, and you've also built NGenious Solutions along the way. Can you give us a glimpse about NGenious, as a brand? What does it mean and what is it standing for today?
And thanks again for having me on the session. Happy to be here and then share my views and thoughts over here. So about NGenious Solutions, as you said, I founded this company in 25 when I was living and working in the US. I have been a technology guy all my life and love technology, but I also come from a background of business. Family is in the form of business. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and in the early 90s and late 90s, technology was on the boom and there was a lot of work that was being done in that space. When I had my first job, I focused a lot on enterprise collaboration solution with Microsoft Stack, especially around Microsoft Active Directory, Exchange, SQL Server, and SharePoint, stuff like that. And that, showed me the path that, there's a lot of need in the industry and larger organizations for, solutions that can help employees become more productive, help them automate business processes, bring in reporting in dashboard at that time, right? So that, encouraged me to go out and start NGenious Solutions, in 2005 over there. Over the last 20 plus years, we've been steadily growing and delivering, as you mentioned, enterprise collaboration solutions with Microsoft technologies, recently with ServiceNow. But from a glimpse perspective, when we work with industry or organizations, we focus on 3 or 4 major areas that an organization always needs. So one part of the organization is focusing on employees and their productivity and the process automation, right? Which means if you are coming to work every day, how can I make your work better? How can you make your ROI better? And how can you collaborate better internally and with your customers and stuff like that? So that part of the business is where we focus on using the Microsoft 365 platform. You must be aware, leveraging Microsoft Teams, Microsoft, SharePoint, Microsoft Outlook, and helping organizations, build better solutions with those technologies. The second part of the business that everybody needs is using front office and back office solutions, which means your sales, your marketing, your accounting, your HR processes, right? And that's where we call the front and back office solutions. And we do that with Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform. The third part of a business is, as you grow and larger, you have IT support as necessary. You are 200 employees or 200,000 employees. You have the number of laptops, phone devices, servers, printers, phones, and those need to be managed, supported. You have help desk ticketing systems necessary, projects that are large and have to be managed. So that is the third part of the business that we focus on by using service now. So slowly and steadily, we've been growing into trying to build, more enterprise solution and helping, build systems that can talk to each other and providing more ROI and more values to this organization. But that's kind of been the journey for NGenious for the last 20 years, working with global, giants across healthcare, pharma, media, manufacturing, retail, legal, many industries. So we have a lot of expertise across these, different industries and technologies, and that makes us work better with new customers and new challenges from that perspective.
Thank you so much, Nilesh, for giving us a glimpse of NGenious Solutions. And what a lovely journey. Thank you once again for sharing that with us. Next, I want to understand from you, we often hear the term connected enterprise. What does that really mean today in business environment? What does it mean as a ground reality? If you can throw some light on that.
Sure. Connected enterprises. The idea here is that when you are building an organization, you have three major components that help drive an organization. People that work in the organization, processes that are set up in the organization, and then you're using technology to assist people and processes over there. When these three things work together in tandem and unified process, that is where we are talking about connected enterprises. What that means, from a technical perspective is you have different technologies that are implemented in an organization. Now, let's say for the sake of argument, you have a CRM system that's working for the sales team, and you have an ERP system that is being used by the accounting team, and you have a business process system that's being used by the rest of the employees, right? But, and all of these systems are doing good on their own. The CRM was brought for the sales team, and by itself, it's doing a very good job. But if that data is not flowing back to my ERP system, then there's duplication of data and there's potential loss. So let me give you an example. In the CRM system, my salespeople are trying to work with net new leads, right? They're trying to generate business. And let's say they're working with company XYZ and they're trying to sell product ABC over there. Now, if this system is not connected to my ERP system, if I close a deal over here, then I have to go back to the ERP system and recreate an XYZ customer over there and identify what was sold to that problem, and then potentially create invoicing separately because they're not talking to each other. Ideally, when I close something over here, the data should flow automatically to the next system. That means there's no inconsistency, right? And there's no human error. I can write XYZ Incorporated. Somebody would say XYZ LLC, right? And there's a mistake that can potentially happen. So the idea here is when you connect systems, then the data flow happens, which can be more consistent across different systems. And what you see here is the same thing that your colleague may be seeing in a different part of the world, but it's consistent and it's a true data, right? There's limited chances of it, being wrong from that perspective because the systems are talking to each other. So one of my biggest statement is nowadays, right? You buy any platform in the world, whether you're buying Microsoft or, ServiceNow or Oracle or SAP, whatever you're buying, 60% as an organization, you get 60% ROI if you just start working with that platform, right? Our goal as partners is always to help customers get maximize their ROI. So you move from 60% to 80, 85, 90% ROI because they are investing millions of dollars in these technologies. And for them to do this stuff and for them to achieve their higher ROI, they may have to configure that system, they may have to customize that system, but they should also make sure that the systems are talking to each other properly and thereby maximizing their ROI over there. And that's where we talk about connected systems and connected enterprises over there.
Fantastic. And along those lines, when teams do not have a complete view of the customers as well as the business data, do you think it kind of affects the entire customer experience? What level of impact is caused, and does it also affect the visibility, the decision making per se?
Yes, there can be a negative expense. Doesn't mean that it's always there. It depends on the size of the organization and what you do over there. But the more disconnected systems you have, the more chances are that one part of your business does not know what the other part of the business is doing, especially with global giants and stuff like that, right? I will give you an example. Just earlier this morning, I was at a seminar around AI, and there was a gentleman who was taking a lot of flights daily, right? Flying all over the country for the last 3 months. And, in India, he was living in India right now, and he is using this concept of Digi Yatra. You may be aware of that, right? Digi Yatra is when you have signed up and you bypass security and go through stuff. So this gentleman very nicely said, I have been flying for the last 3 months and I use Digi Yatra every day. Every day I use. All of a sudden, last week he gets a message from the system saying, "Oh, we see you're flying so many times. You should sign up for DigiYatra." And I'm like, and this person is saying, "I have been using it for 2 months already. You don't know I'm using it. You are asking me to sign up again." And that's where it becomes a customer experience issue. Many times, people like you and me, we live at our homes and we'll get calls from the telephone operator that we are working with, or we are working with somebody else and say, "Hey, you know what? We have this new package available. We want you to buy this stuff from us as a telephone package. Would you be interested in our solution package?" And you can go back and say, "You know what? I have already been using your system for the last 6 months or last 5 years. Why are you asking me this question?" So when the systems are disconnected, that can become a major challenge. One of the classic examples would be, let's say you are unsubscribing to an online platform that you are subscribed to, and then they keep calling you back again and again for subscriptions. Like, "I unsubscribe. Why are you calling me or sending me more stuff again?" Because the systems are disconnected, right? So there can be a major impact to customer experience. There can, when systems are not talking to each other, and there can definitely lead to data and the financial implications also, because wrong data means either wrong billing or wrong visualization. Sometimes if the systems are not talking to each other, and as, let's say, for example, me as the owner of the company, if I don't have realistic data about where my sales are or where my issues are, then I'm making bad decisions on behalf of my company, and that can lead to financial issues for the company also. Then
thank you so much for shedding light on that and sharing these insights. And along the lines, because you've just quoted the example of DigiYatra, something as simple as a customer or a user being notified despite the fact that he is already a pre-existing user for that particular domain. Where do you see AI genuinely helping businesses improve customer engagement, whether it is sales visibility or something as simple as service responsiveness? Do you think there is a huge impact?
Great question. I think AI is a game changer in many different ways. In the current world that we live in, all of us are used to quick services. You're buying something on Amazon, you go out and you place orders in 30 seconds. You're buying something on Swiggy, you're placing orders in 30, 60 seconds. As a generation, we are used to quick responses and being able to get things done very quickly. Now, in a scenario like this, if I can use AI and solve your problems from a customer service perspective in seconds, as opposed to taking minutes and hours, that's a big experience change for that's what end users are looking for right now. Right now, coming specific to your questions, when it comes to sales visibility or customer service, imagine I'm a sales guy and I'm doing cold calling business in a BPO, right? And now if I am working with that, or I am working for a bank and I have a customer who's coming in front of me and is trying to discuss what are the other options from banking perspective, I can use AI to identify how long has this person been a customer of this bank for me, what are the different benefits that this person gets from the bank from me, is this person in ready to take risks, or are they very risk averse people? AI can transform and identify the relationship you had with that customer for a while and proactively suggest you, what, this person may be able to take a risk and you should offer X, Y, and Z benefits or services to this company, right? And allows you to make that decision faster. You still need the human touch, right? No doubt about it. But the AI helps you analyze the information faster and present it to the customer, where your transaction can become much more simplified and easier from that perspective. Same thing in customer service. If I know that this customer has been calling me every month for the last 10 months and saying there's a problem with my cell phone service and I'm not getting signal or something like this, if an agent is on the other side sees from an AI perspective, what, this customer has been calling every month, this person is probably not happy with the service. So when you talk to this person, be professional, be cool, don't get upset. And that can go a long way in customer service, because now AI has been telling you to say, what, take a step back. This person is probably in a bad mood or whatever that season, right? And it's preparing you to take that call in a better perspective. I think those things will help us become much better at our jobs on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. I think definitely some strong pointers there, Nilesh. And next, let's move on to, the real business part about automation that we're hearing about today. How can platforms like Microsoft 365 help organizations kind of connect sales, customer service, finance operations, and customer data to build a more intelligent business environment?
So that's a great question. I think, as we get into this age of AI, and there's been a lot of technical advances over the last decade here, Microsoft is at the forefront of enterprise solution, right? From my point of view, it is one of the best enterprise solution providers in the world right now. They have a huge experience in this area. They have a global company with a lot of experience across different, industries, and products like Dynamics 365, which is actually a suite of different components in there, which includes, Dynamics CRM for sales. You have customer insights for marketing and a customer journey. You have Business Central from an ERP perspective. You have project operations that help you actually do project management. You have field service that allow you to work from a field service. The beauty here is that these are not isolated systems. Microsoft is building systems that connect to each other, and we talk about the connected systems. It's helping us transfer the data across each properly. That can make that whole experience from a customer perspective very awesome, right? So think about it from a life cycle perspective. If I was a company starting from fresh, first day I'm doing is I'm looking for customers. My journey starts with marketing and CRM. They work back and forth. Now ideally my salesperson is trying to find new business lead over there, but in order for them to find lead, we also have to do marketing. We have to understand what my audience is. We have to understand what they would be interested in, what product they're interested in. So I use customer insights to build that whole customer journey from a marketing perspective, right? That allows me to generate and get leads from the system that I can give to my salespeople. My salespeople take that information, go into CRM and feed that data. And now CRM is using AI solutions with Copilot to say, hey, this is where it came from marketing. This person clicked on this, and this button before. So they're probably interested in this. When you call this person, talk to them about that stuff. See if there's anything that interests them. And if they're looking at demos or POCs or purchasing something like that. And AI can actually give them the script for doing that piece. When that sales process moves forward slowly, AI helps them automate business processes from requirements gathering to, let's say, building a code to selling that to that opportunity, getting documents signed off, proposal, those things. And when that's done, we go to the next step. Take that data into Microsoft Business Central, which is your ERP system, and see how these things are connected and working. And from an organizational perspective, building and covering that entire life cycle. Now, this is an existing customer. I got ERP. Now, this customer may have issues. Let's give them a help desk system. We're using customer engagement because a customer will always need support. Now, these are the systems that are connecting to each other. And that's where Microsoft is amazing. They're giving an entire life cycle for a customer and the journey, then we can support them from that perspective. So I think this is where Dynamics 365 is a game changer for many organizations. And if we do this day in and day out, we explain this journey to customers, we help them understand why this is beneficial for them and try to solve their organizational problems.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of that as well. I mean, automation can truly, be a game changer, especially for businesses today. Looking ahead, Nilesh, what opportunities are businesses still missing, and what would your advice be, for leaders who are building more intelligent, more smarter and connected future-ready organizations or platforms for, the upcoming generation of customers?
I'm not sure if they're missing, but from, what I've seen the last few years, not every company can be agile every time. It takes time for a company to change and adopt new technologies. That is an understood. The idea is, or the suggestion is that take a chance and try to do small things upfront and start doing, right? If you're not adopting new technologies and you're still working with legacy platforms that you implemented, 5, 10, 15 years ago, then you are missing out on the new benefits that these technologies can bring for you. For example, let's say in today's world, to be honest, 5 months is too old. Every day technology is changing. So, but if you implemented something 5 or 10 years ago and you say, this is working for me, there's been a big shift. Maybe you're not getting the right data points that you can use to make the right decisions. Maybe your business processes are not moving as fast as they should, or you're not getting enough automation ROI out of this stuff. So I think if you are not considering new technologies or you're not able to take advantage of them at this point, then you're missing out, because in some ways I would think some of your competitors are, right? And if you're not using and your competitors are using, and they're probably getting an advantage ahead of you because they're able to move much more faster. They probably be able to be more agile and capture more industries, right? So again, hypothesis, I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but I would say that's where you're missing. And the last thing is, if you're not able to make faster decisions because of, you're waiting on some information or you don't have the right facts in front of you, then there are so many tools available, right now with ChatGPT and other things where you can go online, even Microsoft Copilot, and build an agent that will work with you to identify the right solutions, right? And give you a game plan to get started from that perspective. So I think, this is where I think many organizations may be missing if they're not moving ahead quickly at this point.
Thank you once again for this wonderful piece of advice and some really, key recommendations, Nilesh. Thank you so much. This has really been a very insightful and candid conversation. And while we wrap up, I certainly look forward to connect with you again.
Thank you so much, Simran. It was an honor to be here and appreciate the time. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.